Mario has had a ton of games over the past 40 years. It's his 40th anniversary this year, and while it does start in a few months from now, I thought I'd rank every game before any more new ones get announced. I'm including every mainline Mario game, most of the spin-offs, Mario Kart, Mario Parties, Mario RPGs, most of the sports titles, the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series, cause why the hell not, mobile games, arcade titles, and even crossovers. Any game on my list has to at least have Mario as a playable character and be official by Nintendo. So no games like Yoshi's Island, because you're technically not playing as Baby Mario, you're just carrying him while playing as Yoshi. I'm also not including collections because they just have the same games from the past that would make this list way harder for me. No PC games because I have no way of playing them. No Dr. Mario because all those games just played the same with no meaningful differences. No CDI games like Hotel Mario because I don't have a CDI or any way of playing them. No Mario Bros 35 because it can't be played anymore and I never played it at all. No Mario Paint because you're not playing as Mario while painting. No Mario and Wario because I don't own a Famicom or see any emulations for this. And no Mario Picross because I don't understand shit about this game. I've got a long list here, so with all that said, let's get to it. As we all know, this game hasn't aged well from the past 40 years, but it's worth trying at least once. There's 4 levels which made sense for limitations back then, and the objective is to make it to the top of each stage. The problem is the physics. They aren't fluid in the slightest, but it was the 80s so you can't blame them for that. So like I said, this is worth playing once but nothing beyond that. What the f were they thinking? Was the first game not hard enough? Because they just went to the extreme with the sequel. The game just throws a bunch of bullshit at you and doesn't even tell you what to do. Like this, and this. No one should have the need to play this game at all. This is just awful. The depth perception when trying to hit the ball is just bullshit. You can't tell if you're in the right position or not to hit the ball. This game is not worth your time, especially the fact that it's on the Virtual Boy. This is the same as the Donkey Kong arcade at first, but entirely different afterwards. It goes from platforming to platforming and puzzle solving, where you have to maneuver your way around stages to find a key to open the exit door. This idea was made better later on, but I say this is a step up from the original version. This was the main Mario game for the Virtual Boy. I'd say this is a little better than Mario's Tennis because the depth perception is a little more forgiving. You have to jump on Koopas and grab them to throw out other enemies. The main problem I have with this game is the floating platforms. It's hard for me to tell if they're in the front or the back. So I find this better, but still not worth it since it's still in the Virtual Boy. I had no idea what this game was until I found it in Masterpieces and Smash for Wii U. This is a weird idea that doesn't feel that bad. You have to break down walls while also avoiding any enemies that are chasing you around the stage. This was a neat idea back then, but it could get old pretty quick these days. Take out Super, and it's just Mario Bros. This is another arcade title, which I heard is better on the GBA, but right now I'm only including the regular version. You run around the stage defeating every enemy on sight. You jump on them or tip them over from underneath. There's even a power block to hit for a bit of a screen wipe. Neat at first, but again gets old pretty quick. I don't get how Nintendo calls this a Mario Party at all. Mario Party is supposed to be a fun multiplayer experience, but Nintendo designed it just to be a single player experience. You can't play this with friends at all. I mean you can, but it's nowhere near the fun and competitiveness you get from playing the console games. The multiplayer aspect is what makes Mario Party a blast, and without that the game just feels shitty. Also, the minigames just aren't that fun or memorable. In most Mario Party games, the minigames are where the excitement lies. But for this game, the minigames are simple, short, and don't leave a lasting impression. Then there's the gadgets, which are kinda gimmicky and feel like filler. Sure, they can be fun to mess around with for a minute or two, but they don't add any real depth into the game. They come across more like distractions than meaningful content. Lastly, the adventure mode itself feels very linear and repetitive. Instead of the traditional board game style, Mario Party Advance goes for a mission-based system where you're tasked with completing quests. For a game with advance in the name, there's really nothing advanced. this tries to modernize the original NES Wrecking Crew, it just doesn't hit the mark. The classic mode is the same from the original, but the new 98 mode just feels like something that lacks charm. The versus style gameplay is kinda interesting, but it's not very balanced and it can feel kinda meh. It also never got released outside of Japan, so it's not as well known. It's not completely awful, but with its awkward mechanics and forgettable design, there's not much reason to revisit it over better puzzle games from the same time. The first and worst Mario Kart. There's issues with this game like the controls. They're very slippery and hard to get used to. Also, the tracks all look the same, which makes the track selection kinda bland. But the main issue with this game is the rubber banding. When you're winning, the game doesn't like that and sends all the races to target your ass and catch up. But what's really bullshit is that all the CPUs have specific items that they can just literally use at any time. Mario and Luigi get a star, Peach and Toad a poison mushroom, Yoshi an egg, Bowser a fireball, DK Jr. a banana, and Koopa a green shell. They don't even need to hit an item block, they just have these. Like I said, bullshit. Crazy Hard was a common difficulty back in the day, and this game really reminds you that. This is similar to Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart 64 combined on the GBA. The game uses the same art style from Mario Kart 64 and has the same slippery steering, and both this and Super Mario Kart have the same issues. The steering, the track layout, and rubber banding. So why do I put this game higher than Super Mario Kart if they both have the same problems? I mentioned that both games have the same issues, but except for one thing. The item issue that the CPUs had is not here. So yeah, that's the only reason that makes this a little bit better. This is a game I haven't played because I heard how bad it was. But I played it for the sake of this video, and my god, I can see what they mean. The main issue with this game is the combat. They completely nerfed it. You now have to use stickers that are all one-time use. So there's no reason to fight enemies when you just want to save their stickers for bosses. And for some reason, most of these bosses require think stickers that don't give you any clue on which ones work against which boss. So that leads to guessing and longer pacing. There's also no partners and no way to level up. Why? This is the worst Paper Mario game ever. At the time, I was too young to understand how much of a snooze fest this was. You have 3 modes, Mario Party, Bowser Party, and Amiibo Party. And why are they from right to left instead of left to right? That just makes no sense to me. This plays like Mario Party 9. Everyone moves around in the car and you roll a dice block to move forward while collecting many stars. Bowser's also stuck in the gamepad and is unlocked from certain dice rolls. Person who breaks them free loses half their many stars. There's no strategy for these boards, and while there are different routes to take, one player has to pick and the others just have to deal with it because you're all in the same car. Then there's Bowser Party, which basically plays the same, but one person controls Bowser, who is OP as f***. He rolls several dice blocks and it's nearly impossible to win. Lastly, there's Amiibo Party, which kinda plays normally, but you need Amiibo to even play it at all. Here's the thing with this though. There are no alternate routes and it just feels like a bland Monopoly board. The only thing that's worth playing this game at all are the mini-games. The base ones, yes. The Bowser ones, only if you're curious. This was a great idea. Nintendo decided to grab 100 minigames from the past and combine them all together as a celebration. This game would have been a hit if all you weren't doing was just playing minigames. You can't even play actual Mario Party. Look, minigames are my favorite part of this series, but you can't just celebrate half a game and expect it to be good. You need boards to go with these minigames so it's more fun. Island Tour at least has boards, but they don't play normally and I fall asleep just playing Island Tour. But here's my question. Who is the developer of this game to begin with? One of the most forgettable Mario parties of all time. There's a nice selection of 7 boards to play on, but all these boards for some reason have different rules. It just makes them feel like different game modes that aren't worth playing at all. If you ever played a Mario Party that's that bad, it should be for the minigames, because they're always great no matter how bad the Mario Party game is. Except for Advance. There's just a replay value from them at all. So like I said before, this game puts me to sleep from boredom just playing it, but at least it has kinda more going for it. This isn't really worth your time. Why even play this when the Wii U version of Mario Maker 2 exists? Plus, even when the online was available for the 3DS, you weren't even able to share your courses with anyone. Well, you're still able to share them locally, but who's even gonna go through with that? Also, the amiibo costumes were taken out, which was great content. So Nintendo just decided to blue ball us with half a game that they ported to the 3DS. This is just a waste. Don't even bother playing this game when these sports play better in other games.
Soccer doesn't feel intense, go play Strikers. Baseball's pitching and batting system are awful, go play Superstar Baseball or Super Sluggers. Tennis and golf just feel the same as Tennis Open and World Tour, which are mid in my opinion, so go play Power Tennis or Toadstool Tour. And horse racing is just okay, but still not worth it, go play the Olympic Games. There are these cool amiibo cards, but all they do is boost your character's stats by a little. Another thing about these cards is that they were too lazy to add new renders, so they just used a bunch of old ones, which is pretty lame. This game is a waste of a sports collection. What looked like a great game, but tended to shit the bed. Wii U games tend to all look great, but at the same time have very little content. I mean, Classic Tennis and Mega Battle are okay, but the rest is not great. Mega Rally is just you hitting a big ball seeing how long you can hit it for. And Knockout Challenge is like an arcade mode, which I don't really think is needed for a tennis game. There is amiibo support, but it's just a clone idea from Smash for Wii U because you're just training up your characters. This game would have been great if they added more and better stuff to do. What we could say is probably the worst Strikers game in the series. This game just doesn't feel as intense as the first two games. A lot of this game's mechanics just aren't the same. The tackling system is BS because of the strength system. The passing is okay, but not as good. Evading just feels harder to do now, plus they're not like the deeks from Mario Strikers Charged. And the super shots have been nerfed. You have to grab this orb that allows you to do your super shots, which sucks. In the other games, you're able to just run to your opponent's side of the field and do your super shots whenever you want. The stadiums are at least nice, and each team can pick their own half of the field. But here's the thing though, they have no stage hazards. Why did they drop that mechanic? That's what made the stadiums great in the first two Strikers games. I just don't know why games tend to drop some of their great mechanics. There's a nice character roster though, but while the gear you can use on them is nice to use, you have to grind the f*** out of this game just to get everything. This game's fine if you want to try it with 8 players, but by yourself it doesn't feel as great as doing it as the other two games. This feels more like a tech demo than an actual game. This was fun for a while back when I was in 8th grade, but this can get old very quick. Depending on how big your house is, depends on how much of a track you can build. But you can't even have the car go that far from the console because the distance connection is poorly optimized. While there is a Grand Prix mode with different tracks, they just add filters to the screen. And the only characters you can race are the Koopalings, which is odd. And for the price, it's really not that worth it, seeing how little this game offers. I don't even know if I find this better or the PlayStation room better. I'm not much on the golf games, but this isn't that bad for the Game Boy. It's kinda hard to understand how to use the swing meter at the bottom, but you'll get used to it. The sports games on the Game Boy always start off with an odd selection of characters and not Mario. But these aren't that bad if you're big on the Game Boy. I'm a guy who doesn't pick up on puzzle games easily, but I did mainly for this video. The Mario vs. Donkey Kong games mostly play the same with a little bit of differences. For this case, you use blocks placed on the screen to help mini Marios get through the doors. You have to weirdly maneuver the mini Marios around the stage so they all get through the exit door. Because once one mini Mario gets through, you have 5 seconds to get the rest of the mini Marios through the door before the door closes. I find this to be the stupidest thing that the series has, but depending on which game you're playing, you probably won't mind that much. This is literally the same thing, but part 2. There doesn't seem to be much of a difference between the two besides the new levels, of course. So I feel these could be interchanged, but I wouldn't care at this point, because I find the rest of the games kind of better. This is kind of better than Sticker Star, although some of the same aspects and problems are still here. Combat is the same but a little different. You now have to use cards you need to paint before using them. This wastes time and is not even necessary. There's still no partners or any way to level up, so that's dumb. The levels are kind of the same and the game focuses on toads being everywhere. There are much better Paper Mario games out there than this in Sticker Star. I like how the tennis and golf games are each sharing a game on almost every console and handheld. While I don't really care for the story mode, the exhibition mode is really the only thing that I do in this game. It's a little better because of the hardware and physics. The character selection is also a little better as well, and I would probably enjoy story mode in another game besides golf. I for some reason just prefer this over Advanced Tour even though the ratings are higher. I don't know, I guess I just sometimes prefer 3D more over 2D. And look, just because the golf games are ranked this low doesn't mean that I hate them. I'm just more on other sports titles than golf. This is definitely my least favorite of the Mario and Sonic Olympic games. Compared to the other entries, the 3DS versions of the games kinda really lack features. The 3DS games do have more sports in each one, but you're also only given specific characters for each one and are only given a selection of 4 to 7 characters. For this game, it's 7. The sports and campaign for this game don't feel very engaging if I'm being honest. Some of the events don't feel as balanced or polished compared to the Wii U version. Plus the controls feel very clunky for some of them, making this port less entertaining. I'm not much on campaign modes for these type of games and I don't feel like going over them. I recommend the Wii U version, but I feel like there's people who'd prefer this one instead. At the time, I really enjoyed this. This has a nice feel to it for a mobile game. The controls aren't the greatest, but they're okay for what they are. Compared to every Mario Kart out there, this one has the most characters. 265 characters is incredibly large for a roster, but this is a mobile game, so it makes sense. And because this is a mobile game, it's impossible to get every single character. You'll use this loot box pipe and have no idea what you'll obtain. And if you want to get high scores, you need specific characters, carts, and gliders to do well. There's missions, but half of them are behind a paywall. There's absolutely no reason to play this since Mario Kart World already came out and this game doesn't get updates anymore. As we all know, this game was a hit back in 1985, but hasn't aged very well for reasons we are all very familiar with. There's 32 levels that all feel the same. While there are different themes, all of it's just the default overworld. The controls are wonky and the momentum takes time to get used to. This game is okay nowadays, but we have better versions of this game that are more recommended. And speaking of which, this could probably be interchanged with the original, but I think a lot of us could prefer this better. Besides that awful screen crunch, there's some better replay value from all the challenges, objectives, and you versus Boo. You versus Boo is a race between you and Boo to see who could get the end of the course first. Boo has a major advantage because he can just pass through walls, and there are these platforms that are switching from white to red, so that makes it harder. This game even allows you to choose which levels you want to go back to, so that's fun. But the only downside, like I said, is the screen crunch. Because of this, it's hard to tell when things are coming up. But besides that, I'd say this is better to come back to than the original. I'm honestly not much of a fan of Dance Dance Revolution. I played a bit of the Disney one on the Wii when I was younger, but that's about it. I'm not really good at these types of rhythm games unless I'm playing them on a keyboard like Friday Night Funkin'. My feet cannot keep up with which arrow to step on at a fast pace. I'd really prefer to play this game emulated on my Mac, but I guess it would be fun to mess around with this game with friends. But even so, I really don't find the music very interesting. I mean, I kinda like that one with Waluigi, but that's about it. Arcade titles might be a better option than this. Similar to Island Tour, but with less minigames and kinda better stuff to do. Toad Scramble's odd because everyone moves at the same time and you fight bosses to collect stars. For Coinathon, you race around the board while collecting the most coins from speedrunning minigames. Balloon Bash is similar to Toad Scramble because you move around the board the same way, collecting star balloons. Mario Shuffle just feels like a captain event from Mario Party 9, and Rhythm Recital should have just been its own minigame. People have really been hating all the new ideas Nintendo has tried from Mario Party in the 2010s. The game that brought back the original Mario Party formula. Kinda. I enjoyed this for a while back in middle school until realizing major differences and flaws. Why are the stars only half the price? Why does everyone get coins from minigames even if you lose? And why are the gold pipes so easy to obtain now? And then there's these side modes. Partner Party is like Toad Scramble from Star Rush and it's a team mode. River Survival is not bad, but it drags on for a while. And Soundstage is by far my favorite. You play minigames that require you to sync to the rhythm. Two more big issues with this game is that there's only 4 boards and a terrible online mode. The older games did a lot better than this. For most people, this is probably forgettable unless you're me. I grinded on this game back in 4th grade, but only lasted till middle school. This is New Super Mario Bros, but on mobile and it's an auto runner. There's not many levels as you'd expect from a normal Mario game. And speaking of levels, you have to pay for them. The game's free, but you still need to pay $10 just to play this game. This is fun for a while if you're willing to give it a shot. This is very different compared to the original Super Mario Bros.
Super Mario Land is a wonky experience that is actually not that bad. You may drop faster after you follow those only 12 levels.
They all have weird and interesting locations, the enemies and bosses are different, and you even get a Super Ball flower instead of a fire flower that lets you shoot a ball that bounces off walls. And the music is my favorite part of this game. These are the types of songs that will get stuck in your head for hours. This game will take you an hour less to beat and is worth trying at least once. This one's better because of the 20 extra levels spread across 6 worlds, and the physics are a little better. Power-ups might be basic, but the carrot's new and is very interesting. Depending on how fast of a button masher you are, you could float for as long as you want. This game, however, has the same problem as Mario Bros. Deluxe, the screen crunch. Since the sprites are bigger, it's harder to see when enemies come up at some points, but this game is still worth playing at least once.
This took an interesting take with the formula. It swapped traditional platforming puzzles for a tile-based system. Instead of guiding minis through pre-built levels, you have to place tiles in real time to create a path, adding a new layer of strategy and urgency. This felt like those educational games that we used in elementary, but I somehow didn't mind as much. The touchscreen controls worked really well. It was a surprisingly active puzzle experience. While it's different from the rest of the series, its creativity and challenge make it a standout. This feels like a very bland attempt on the 3DS. For a game called World Tour, there's not much entertainment for this tour. All these game modes just do not hit the spot at all. The sound effects are all just the same for previous golf games, which just feels lazy. The physics are at least nice, but nothing else beyond that. There's really no reason to play this when better golf games exist. Well, speak of the devil. Although people still may not consider this as great, this doesn't feel like they added much to it either. But even so, I really like how the game feels. The physics are nice, but again, that's all it probably has going for it. There is a story mode, but I don't even bother because story modes and sports titles don't really feel that great for me. Except for Mario Super Sluggers and Mario and Sonic at the Winter Games for DS, because those actually feel entertaining and engaging. So I wouldn't really recommend this as a must-try, but I could at least consider this over some of the older golf games. Except for... yeah, this title is definitely more recommended. Kinda like Monkey Ball on the GameCube, because the physics just feel the best on this console. There are a ton of different modes depending on if you're playing by yourself or with other people. The game has a nice roster, and you can even play as Petey Piranha and Shadow Mario. I find Shadow Mario to be an insane choice because it's basically a duplication of Bowser Jr. and Mario, and you can't play as him in any other game. And no, I don't count Smash Ultimate because you can't actually play as him when you're using the Final Smash. If you're playing any of the Mario Golf games, make it this one.
This plays surprisingly well for the Game Boy. These physics are just amazing for the hardware that it's on. Although the roster for the Game Boy Sports always start off weird. There are unlockable characters at least, but I for some reason don't see myself playing as these random human characters. So I find this fun when I have nothing better to do, but again, it's on the Game Boy, so I probably won't play it as much. This one's like Golf Advanced Tour with the story mode and all that, but it's tennis. It plays nice like the other tennis games, but I don't see myself coming back to this one as much.
This just feels as bland as Golf World Tour. The version of this in Golf feel basic as fuck and they ported them to Sports Superstars. Again, all the sound effects are used from previous games and look at this.
Let's play! Let's play!
Like I said, lazy. Well, I do find this kinda mid. Again, there's really no reason to play this at all.
This game is like the second half from Donkey Kong on the Game Boy, but done better. You're not saving Pauline this time and are now saving the mini Marios, because DK is one greedy motherfucker. Like I said, it plays like Donkey Kong from the Game Boy. You have to platform your way around the stages to find the key to open the exit door. And through each door you need to grab the mini Marios that are trapped in a capsule. Donkey Kong is the boss in every world, but the fight is different every time. So if you're playing this game, I suggest the remake. And speaking of the devil, The main change to this game is the full graphic redesign. And I know I said I would suggest this one over the GBA one, but it's really too much for a Game Boy remake. This is the same problem with the Luigi's Mansion 2 remake. You're paying like double the price for a game that was originally on a handheld. So it's really up to you if the price is worth it or not. This is better than whatever the hell this sequel was. We all could definitely find this more enjoyable. You can select between 4 different characters, which is really cool, and the controls have been refined a little better. They might be a little slippery for some, but it's not that bad. Bowser's not the main villain this time and has been replaced with Wart. The only thing this game needed was a save feature because it gets really hard by the end. But this is still a fun classic to come back to. This is Super Mario Bros. 2 ported to the GBA with Mario Bros. As a side game. The characters can now talk and have an HP system. This could be interchanged with the original, but I prefer this one just because of the heart system.
My very first Paper Mario game. I really loved this when I was young, but there's just something about it that doesn't make me come back to it like I used to. But that doesn't mean I hate it. Anyway, this game's story is all over the damn place that I don't even know how to explain it. But the antagonist is an actual threat. He just wants to destroy every known world and create a perfect one. You get to play as Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Bowser, who all have different abilities and are nice to use. Also, this game constantly switches genres. They'll go from platforming to space shooting to dating sim and even traditional RPG. This really keeps things entertaining. And let's not forget 2 of the best bosses, which are Mr. L and Mimi, who will probably give you the heebie-jeebies. So if you're a big Paper Mario fan and don't mind the insane change in gameplay, this title is definitely for you.
This is an interesting take into the series. The entire concept is paper versus origami. You'll travel through some interesting worlds and you have to destroy 5 streamers. You'll use confetti to cover up holes and other things to make progress in some parts in each world. This is similar to Color Splash, but who cares? The music is okay, but I find the battle theme to be my favorite because a lot of the music is really forgettable. Then there's the battle system. I kinda like how it works. You need to line up the enemies to do specific attacks. The timer's not much to worry about since you can increase it, but the partners are kinda lame because they just help whenever they feel like it. I would've put this game an A if it had better changes, but it's still great otherwise.
What an interesting remake. On paper, it sounds like the definitive version of Mario 64. It has more playable characters, extra stars, new levels, and even mini-games. But when you actually play it, you start to notice why the original holds up better. For starters, the biggest issue is the controls. The N64 version had an analog stick which made Mario's movement feel more smooth and natural. On the DS, you're stuck using a D-pad which is not ideal for a 3D platformer. And you have a run button for some reason, which feels worse than Sonic Lost Worlds if you ask me. The game does offer touchscreen-based controls, but that's even worse. Without true movement, simple tasks like precise platforming or speedrunning tricks feel a lot harder than they should. Then there's character swapping. Instead of just playing as Mario the whole time, you now have to switch between Mario, Luigi, Wario, and Yoshi to get certain stars. Yoshi is your starting character, which I find a little random for a game like this. This may sound cool at first, but in practice, it slows things down. Some stars that were originally fun in Mario 64 now feel like unnecessary fetch quests just because you need the right character. That said, Mario 64 does have its strengths. The extra content is nice, and I actually enjoy some of the new stars and level tweaks. The minigames are also a great addition, and they gave the game some extra replay value, especially if you had friends to compete with. The updated graphics are solid for the DS, and the game still has that Mario 64 charm, even if the controls hold it back. So while I respect what Mario 64 DS tried to do, I find the original a better experience.
Do you want a random complex version of Monopoly? Well, boy oh boy, this is the game for you. The boards are completely different compared to your regular Monopoly board and use iconic Mario themes. And from what I read, this game includes stock marketing. So I guess this game can show you in its own way how stock marketing works. I don't know, I'm just assuming. I'm still having a hard time trying to completely understand this game's mechanics, but I still have a reasonable opinion for it. If I remember correctly, this was the very first Mario game I ever played. While the world and level theming don't really go together, it's still a fun time if you're willing to try it. Although if you're not a guy like me, these levels aren't very memorable. Luigi's also a playable character after you beat the game in the first special world. And yes, there are extra worlds to tackle that are optional after you beat the game. The castle levels for these worlds replace Bowser with Dry Bowser, which is really cool. So if you're willing to give it a try, 3D Land is a nice experience. This is better than the Game Boy Color one, mainly because it's on a console. The physics were done very well for each sport game that they make, and has of course improved later on. This is my favorite of the N64 sports titles on this list. My very first Mario Kart. I have a soft spot for this since I grew up with this title. I didn't own an N64 growing up, so I always played this on the Wii with a GameCube controller. The steering may be slippery and the rubber banding's still an issue. I don't care. The steering is not that bad and the rubber banding can be fought off if you just use your items right. And this game has incredibly memorable tracks. There may be only 16, but they are really fun to race on, like Moo Moo Farm, Calamari Desert, Toad's Turnpike, Wario Stadium, Yoshi Valley, and even Rainbow Road, one of the most iconic Mario Kart tracks, and it's been remade many times. This is a game that is worth your time every once in a while. While the Wii version mostly uses motion controls, this one's all touchscreen and buttons. I kinda find this more enjoyable than the Rio Olympics on the 3DS. While it does lack some features, it's not that bad for a port, although I don't really see myself coming back to this a lot. This may be worth trying to see what it lacks from the Wii version. This was the very first of the Olympic series that I played, so I have a soft spot for it. I remember my mom getting this for me as an early Christmas gift, I think, and I had a pretty fun time. Like I mentioned before, there's more sports in the 3DS titles and a small selection of characters for each one. For this one, it's 4 per sport. This one has the most sports in the series and all use a mix of buttons, touchscreen, and motion controls. This is a nice game and all, but the Wii version is superior.
Not that bad for the first GameCube entry. While the game may be slow-paced, there's a great selection of minigames and fun boards. They may all look the same, but they play very differently. This is also where items got more interesting. I haven't used them all, but there's some pretty good ones. Like the Mega Mushroom allows you to steal 10 coins from whoever you pass, and the Magic Lamp is like the gold pipe. There's also these gates that are kinda annoying on every board. You can't be normal sized or big, because you have to use a mini mushroom just to get through them. There also were many new spaces, but that's alright. Mario Party 4 is great for what it is. A little step up from Mario Party 4. This time there's a few more characters and DK was kicked out of the roster and was dedicated to his own space on the boards. There's only one per board and one of 3 events will happen. And speaking of boards, they're all dreams. Welcome to Dream Depot, aka f***ing Dreamland. There's now tag names for characters if you're playing in teams, and items are now capsules and are obtained for free but are given randomly. It's nice that items are free, but I wish you were able to pick which one you want. And as usual, most of the minigames are great, so this has a little more going for it than Mario Party 4.
This was the first of the GameCube parties that I played. The boards are great and there's the common selection of 6. What's strange about these boards is that the objective is different depending on if you're playing by yourself or with friends. Most of the minigames are great and there's even an 8-player mode where 2 people each share a controller. But this is also where things started to get stale. Like the NSMB series, they all look and play the same with not a lot of differences. 2 years later, we got a design refresh with Mario Party 8.
Mario Party 7 is a solid entry that deserves some charm.
I don't know what it is, but I find this to be my least favorite of the NSMB series. That doesn't mean I hate it though. The levels and worlds are nice and use kinda unique themes. Well, for its series time. What's funny about the NSMB series is that they all use the same and similar things, which kinda makes things a little bland. This was also the first Mario game to include 4-player multiplayer, and I don't know if it's me, but I feel like the game focused more on the multiplayer than the level design. I don't know how to explain it or if anyone agrees, but it just felt like that for me. The items are pretty cool, like the propeller mushroom, pigment suit, and ice flower. The propeller mushroom can be broken at times and allow you to skip portions of levels. The penguin suit can shoot ice balls and slide on ice, and the ice flower also shoots ice balls. But there's not much reason to use the ice flower when the penguin suit is the same but a little better. So I'd say this is a nice second entry into the NSMB series. I don't remember if I played this or the DS one first, but I find this better than Bros Wii because the level design is a little better. There may not be 4-player multiplayer, but there's at least co-op. There's also the Gold Flower, which is an insane power-up. You can destroy almost anything in your path and turn it into coins. This is insanely satisfying. This also was the very first Mario game to include DLC levels. I never played them, so I wouldn't know what to say about them, but I'd recommend this over Mario Bros Wii. This was a fun game back when I was in elementary school. There's not much to add here at this point besides a few things. The acorn is new and allows you to soar through the air and is better than the propeller mushroom. While you don't get as much air time, it's very useful. The baby Yoshis are a nice inclusion and don't make other appearances from what I see. The game has an interesting use because you can create blocks that help you platform. Although there's not much reason to use this except for maybe saving someone from falling. Nabbit is also in this game, but he's just a distraction to pad out game time. New Super Luigi is the same game, but the levels are different and a hell lot harder. You're allowed to play as Nabbit in this version, but he can't use items. But that doesn't matter since he's completely invincible to enemies. I'd say these are some of the best in the new Super Mario Bros. Series. A basic port, but nothing wrong with it. Toad's a playable character and can turn into Peachette with the Super Crown. This crown somehow led to Bowsette becoming a thing a few years back. You aren't forced to use Mario in the single player mode, which is nice, and you can switch between Mario Bros. U and Luigi U. This is really not that bad for a basic port. Out of all the new Super Mario Bros. Games, the first game is the one I prefer the most. It feels the most unique probably because it was the first one. Power-ups in this game are also very unique. The Mega Mushroom is ridiculous in the best way possible, and the Mini Mushroom adds some fun platforming challenges. Later entries kind of recycled ideas, but this one felt fresh at the time. The level design is simple but effective, with great secrets and fun platforming. The physics feel tight and responsive, and while the music does get a little repetitive, it still has that classic Mario charm. The later new Soup games got bigger, but they also felt more formulaic. This one just has a certain charm and simplicity that I like more, and that's why it's my favorite of the series. This was a fun Mario Kart back when I was in like the first or second grade. This was the first Mario Kart to include hang gliders and the ability to drive underwater. The roster has a nice selection of 16 characters, but where the hell is Waluigi? This game brings back Waluigi Pinball, but no Waluigi? Nintendo, you delisted one of your top tier characters. What are you doing? But besides that, you're also introduced to customizing your own carts, which also give you different stats. There's some nice new items, but they're either weak or just okay. The main issue with this game, however, is the lack of a versus mode. If there's a specific track you want to race on, you have to play it in the cup that it's in Grand Prix mode, or in online mode when it used to work just to race on it. Why is this basic mode missing? I would have put this game in A, but it's the lack of the versus mode that puts it in B. This is always a great game whenever you go to Dave & Buster's. The character selection is great, and they even have Pac-Man and Don-Chan since Namco helped develop this game. There's also extra characters and reskins, but are only available in the Japanese version. This sucks because I want to play as King Boo, Ice Luigi, and Gold Mario. But the track selection is at least pretty cool, and there's 2 of each track with a different route to take. You play this like any other arcade racing game but Mario Kart. You steer with the wheel, press the button to use items, and the casual accelerate and brake pedals. And also to drift, you tap the brake pedal, which works nice. Also, your cart and items are selected randomly before you race. So all this is awesome, but it depends on how good of a condition the machine is in. Like, there's stuff that happens like the wheel not being straight, the camera not working that you use for your picture, or the sound not working right. So depending on the conditions you'll have, Mario Kart Arcade is always a fun time. I haven't played this game in a few years, and the Dave & Buster's I go to now doesn't have this at all. It's a shame because this was one of the most fun arcade experiences that I had. The controls were simple but engaging, using physical buttons and levers instead of using traditional controllers. This made the events feel more interactive. These are probably the biggest joysticks you'll ever see at an arcade. Sprinting, swimming, and hammer throwing all felt intense, and it was a blast competing with friends. What really makes this stand out from the console versions is how quick and arcade friendly it is. No long menus or waiting, just jump in and play. The game looks great too, with vibrant visuals and energetic music that fit with the Olympic theme. It may not be the deepest Mario and Sonic title, but for an arcade game, it does the job perfectly. God, it's already been over 10 years since this game came out. I still remember when my mom got this for me back when I was in like the 2nd grade, and our whole family was having a blast. Mario Kart 8 was a huge step forward for the series. The anti-gravity mechanics added a fresh twist to the races, and the track design was some of the best the series has seen. Courses like Mount Wario and Electrodrome were instant classics, and the HD visuals made everything look stunning. Plus, the addition of DLC brought back fan-favorite retro tracks and characters, making it feel like one of the most content-packed Mario Kart games at the time. But even so, it wasn't perfect.
Battle mode was a huge letdown because you're just using standard tracks instead of proper battle arenas. This made it way less fun than past entries, and while the roster had some great additions, there were too many baby, metal characters, and even the Koopalings taking up slots. The core racing gameplay was so polished and fun that it still remains the great Mario Kart.
But there's really no reason to play this nowadays since the deluxe version exists and Mario Kart World's already out, but I'll get to those later.
This took everything great about the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series and refined it. The puzzle design was more engaging than ever, with creative mechanics that kept things fresh throughout the game. Guiding the many Marios through increasingly complex levels felt more satisfying, especially with the added tools and obstacles that made each stage a fun challenge. The difficulty curve was just right, offering a good balance of accessibility and depth. Plus, the presentation was charming with smooth animations and catchy music. While later entries started feeling a bit repetitive, Manyland Mayhem still stands out as a great game in the series. This didn't reinvent the formula, but it refined it in a way that I say made it one of the most polished entries in the series. The core gameplay of guiding minis through puzzle platforming levels was engaging as ever, with clever level design and a smooth difficulty curve. What set this game apart was the level sharing feature, allowing players to create and share their own puzzles. So it's kinda like Mario Maker. While it didn't get as much attention as it deserved, the added creativity and replayability made it a standout. It may not be the most revolutionary entry, but its solid mechanics and extra features make it very unique and interesting. Now for this one, you must have amiibo, and the title makes it very clear. This was a unique entry in the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series heavily tied to the amiibo functionality. While that might sound like a gimmick, it actually added an interesting layer to the gameplay. Each amiibo unlocked a different character with their own unique abilities, creating variety in how you approach levels. It encouraged replaying stages with different minis, making for a fresh and engaging experience. Puzzle design was solid, sticking to the familiar Manyland Mayhem style, but with new challenges that kept things interesting. The biggest downside was, of course, accessibility. Since progress depending on having certain amiibo, not everyone got to experience the full game, but for those who did, it was a fun and creative take on the series. I don't know what the emphasis is on this game, but I find this really enjoyable because I'm a big pinball fan. The physics are nice, making every bounce and shot feel smooth and responsive. Instead of traditional platforming, Mario himself is the pinball, rolling and bouncing through different areas filled with enemies, puzzles, and even bosses. It can be tough at times, especially with how precise you need to be with your shots, but that just adds to the challenge. The level design is clever, and the game offers a fun mix of pinball mechanics and Mario-style objectives. While it's not the deepest Mario spin-off, it's an underrated gem that I can recommend to any pinball fan. If you want to work for Nintendo as a level designer for Mario games, then this is just the thing for you. It was a dream come true for Mario fans, finally letting players create and share their own 2D Mario levels. It would have been cool to add 3D as well, but those games would be more complicated and take a lot more work, so I completely understand. The level editor was simple but powerful, making it easy for anyone to design stages, whether they're fun, creative, or just downright brutal. Seeing what the community came up with was one of the best parts of this game. There were puzzle levels, automatic music courses, and insane Kaizo-style challenges. That said, the game has its issues. There was no way to search up for levels by name, and the 100 Mario challenge could be frustrating when random low-effort stages got in the mix. Plus, the lack of slopes and other classic Mario elements felt like a missed opportunity. Still, Super Mario Maker was a fantastic first step into bringing level creation to players. The Wii U gamepad made designing levels smooth and intuitive, and despite its flaws, it delivered an amazing experience. It may have been surpassed by its sequel, but it still deserves its love for the free creativity. And speaking of sequel, not much reason to play the first one nowadays, since this took everything great about the first game and made it even better. Right away, the biggest improvement was the addition of slopes, something fans desperately wanted in the original. The new themes, including 3D world style with unique mechanics, added even more variety to level creation. Story mode was also a nice touch. It provides a fun way to experience creative Nintendo-made levels while learning new mechanics. Online multiplayer was also a mixed bag and fun idea, but the lag often made it frustrating. The core search system was much improved, making it easier to find high-quality levels instead of wading through endless autoplay or troll stages. And while level building is a bit less intuitive since you don't use the Wii U gamepad, it was still an amazing tool for creativity. Overall, Super Mario Maker 2 refined and expanded on its predecessor in all the right ways. It still had some flaws, but with the new features and better online experience, it deserves to be better than the first game. Definitely a much better collection than the top 100. This is when Nintendo actually brought back the old board formula properly. We got 5 of the N64 boards that look amazing with these new graphics. They for some reason cut half the roster from Super Mario Party, which should have been kept in. And the new Lucky Space is way too generous and has too many locations. And you still get coins when you lose a minigame. And the Koopa Bank doesn't even help with this issue because the deposit went from 5 to 3. But the game is still an awesome experience regardless.
This was a random idea that came out of nowhere. Nintendo and Ubisoft decided to do a crossover with the Rabbids. When I first saw the trailer, I thought this was a shooter game, but when I saw actual gameplay footage, I found out it was an RPG. I wasn't into RPGs back in elementary school, but I played it and I actually enjoyed it. Rabbids traveled to this house, made a ruckus, and stole this headset. It started shooting things with it and fusing Rabbids with other objects, leading to Mario Rabbids being made and accidentally shooting their washing machine, which is a time machine. They got themselves transported to the Mario universe, and the Rabbid with the headset was accidentally turning Rabbids into bad guys, which led to some random ass characters being born like P-Rabbid Plant, Rabbid Kong, Blizzy and Sandy, Calavera, and even Wario and Waluigi. This RPG is unlike any other one I played, besides the sequel of course. You can position your characters in specific spots and plan out which attacks and skills you want to use. I struggled to finish this game, and hell, I still haven't beat it yet because I'm stuck on this Bowser Jr. fight. This boss is a pain in the ass. Jr. moves whenever you shoot him, so you want to keep your distance as far as possible, because if he gets too close, he'll deal a fuck ton of damage on you. But besides that, this is a nice game that's worth trying if you're curious.
While I do have a better opinion on this now, I still find it to be my least favorite of the N64 parties. There are more characters, a story mode while the other two don't, and while I don't find the boards to be very memorable, they're pretty fun to play on. There's also some dual boards which can only be played with 2 people and ain't got minigames. You have to attack your opponent's heart gauge, which is okay for this mode. There's also great items and the minigames are still great too. So for those who saw my placement for this game in my first ranking video, you could stop the hate. Now here's a game that really likes to throw its bullshit at you. Lose a minigame? Everyone takes your coins. Same thing with a solo minigame. Ain't got coins when you talk to Bowser? Say bye-bye to your star. The boards just straight up hate you, and on top of that there's chance time which could screw players over. You can go from first to last in a matter of seconds. This game's sadistic nature is what makes it a nightmare, but that's why people love it. You and your friends all have to go through the same pain so y'all feel even. This is an unfair and fun experience. We could agree that this is the best N64 party. It's got some better features that draw more attention. Depending on which board you play on, you'll have a specific costume that fits with that board's theme. There's more routes to take than the first Mario Party, and the boards are still evil as well. This Mario Party also introduced newer and better items. There may not be a lot, but they're still fun to use and shake things up. The first Mario Party's still great, but this one definitely has some better replay value. One of my biggest guilty pleasures. I don't mind the car mechanic here because I grew up with this game and has better stuff to do than Mario Party 10. While 10 has 5 boards, 9 has 7. Also, the Bowser Party ain't here, so that's great. And while the items ain't so interesting because they're all just dice blocks, they may be needed in some situations. They really wanted to try something new, but it just didn't work out for most people. The idea was to make the boards go by faster, but for most people it feels like they last a hell lot longer. There's a nice change to the roster, but I wish they would have kept Hammer Bro and Blooper from Mario Party 8. Again, the minigames are still great, but that's probably the only thing people would like about this. Game that kicked off the Mario & Luigi RPG series, and it did so with a bang. The game's humor, quirky characters, and fun writing made it stand out from the other RPGs, and the turn-based combat with timed button presses kept the battles engaging. Controlling both Mario and Luigi at the same time for puzzles and movement added a unique twist, making exploration just as fun as fighting. The Bean Kingdom was a refreshing change from the usual Mushroom Kingdom setting, and characters like Fawful stole the show with their hilarious dialogue. The flaws, however, were that some of the later sections could get repetitive, and certain minigames felt more like roadblocks than fun challenges. But the overall charm, creativity, and solid mechanics make Superstar Saga a fantastic RPG. This could be interchanged with the original, but I prefer the new sprites over the original. This remake took everything that made the original great and gave it a fresh coat of paint. The updated visual stayed true to the charm of the GBA version while making character animations even smoother and more expressive. The music got a solid upgrade and small quality of life improvements, like better UI and refined controls, which made for a smoother experience overall. One of the biggest additions was the Bowser's Minions mode, which told a parallel story about Bowser's underlings searching for their missing boss. This is really not worth it. Some might still prefer the pixel art of the original, but I like the new art style better. While Superstar Saga set the foundation for the Mario & Luigi series, I think that Partners in Time really took things up a notch with a more complex story and unique gameplay mechanics. The addition of Baby Mario & Luigi made for an interesting twist, letting you control 4 characters at once in both battles and exploration. This led to more intricate puzzles and combat strategies, keeping things fresh. The story had a surprisingly darker tone compared to other Mario RPGs, with the alien shrooms invading the Mushroom Kingdom. The time traveling aspect was used well, adding a unique setting that kept things engaging. However, the game was more linear than its predecessor, which some players didn't love, and the difficulty curve was a bit steeper, so you're mostly going to be using your bros moves because they'll be the only effective thing by the end of the game, and that's pretty much the same for the whole series. Despite those flaws, the improvements in combat, the engaging mechanics with the babies, and the more fleshed out story, I think it makes Partners in Time a worthy sequel. This was the first of the RPG series that I ever played. This game's main gimmick is going inside Luigi's dreams. The locations in the real-end dream world may not be as interesting, but they're okay. The music's all nice, but the battle music just gets stuck in my head, and Never Let Up just slaps. There's also giant battles that you'll encounter in the dream world and are probably the best part of this game. This is a great game, but my only 2 problems is that there are way too many tutorials, and this game is way too long. This is a common thing with every RPG, but this game can almost take as long as Twilight Princess. I would put this higher if this wasn't that big of a deal, but this is still enjoyable. This was the only game of the RPG series that I beat. People expected this to be a great crossover because Paper Mario's in it, but I don't really see why some people find this to be the worst of the bunch. You'd probably expect them to add people like Count, Bleck, or Fawful, but nope. Instead you got basic-ass Mario and Paper Mario enemies and bosses. There's not even partners still. And where's Paper Luigi? His ass is sitting in the music menu right after you beat the game. Why wasn't he playable? Partners in Time let you use 4 characters at the same time, so why the hell not this game? Even with all that said, I still find this to be a pretty fun game, and it's paced better than Dream Team. The newest of the RPG series and kinda has low ratings from IGN, but I could see flaws from this game to know why that is. Before any of that, the story starts off very weird for some reason. Mario and Luigi randomly get sucked into this vortex and get transported to another world. This is kinda similar to Kirby and the Forgotten Land, but who minds? It's an interesting premise, but it feels kinda as rushed as Kirby and the Forgotten Land's opening cutscene. Wait, isn't that pretty much most of Kirby's opening cutscenes? Anyway, unlike previous entries where they just travel for no reason, this just happens out of nowhere. That aside, the game itself is still a solid Mario and Luigi entry. The combat is as fun as ever, with satisfying action commands and bros moves that take full advantage of their teamwork. The ship mechanics also add a fresh spin to the series, making exploration a bit different from past games. However, while the overworld has charm, some areas feel empty or underwhelming compared to previous games. The humor's still here, but maybe not as strong as Superstar Saga or Bowser's Inside Story. Another issue is the pacing. Some sections drag on longer than they should, the combat can feel kinda sluggish, and certain boss fights can feel more like endurance battles rather than fun strategic encounters. But despite its flaws, Brothership still delivers a fun RPG adventure with Mario & Luigi's classic charm. It may not be the best game in the series, but it's still an enjoyable experience. But I feel like I might change this later on. A bestseller that I'd say is worth trying. This is one of those games that feels like a perfect mix of casual fun and competitive depth. It's easy to pick up, but if you want to master it, there's a lot to learn. The roster is packed with Mario characters, each with their own stats and abilities, which make team building fun and strategic. But unless you're someone like me, you'll just play as who you like. The gameplay itself is simple yet satisfying. Batting, pitching, and fielding all feel great, and there's a nice balance between skill and randomness, which is just enough to keep matches exciting. The chemistry system adds another layer, making certain teams stronger, while others might struggle. The challenge mode is also a great addition, giving players a reason to keep coming back. But if for some reason it doesn't feel very engaging for me compared to Super Sluggers. Other than that, this is a must-play for any Mario sports fan.
This is a great upgrade from Ultra Smash. Right from the start, the roster is way better, featuring a solid selection of characters, including a f***ing Chain Chomp. Like, what other Mario game lets you play as this dude? The gameplay also feels way more refined, adding mechanics like the zone shots, trick shots, and the energy gauge, which makes matches a lot more strategic instead of just spamming powerful shots. The story mode is a nice addition, bringing some fun challenges and boss battles, though it's not super long. Motion controls are also included, but they're not the main focus, which is probably for the best because they aren't that responsive. Mario Tennis Aces delivers a more fun and fast-paced tennis experience that feels way more complete than Ultra Smash. It's not perfect, but for Mario Tennis fans, this is definitely one of the better entries in the series. I'm definitely gonna have my ass jumped for this. Look, I know this game is known as the worst in the Olympic series. The remotes all require Wii Motion Plus. There's repetitive game modes, but I for some reason don't mind as much. I think the graphics are solid, the environments look nice, and the characters are well animated. Although as usual, they didn't update the roster. Now yeah, this game has issues like I said. The motion controls aren't always consistent, and some events feel a little clunky to play. There's also the fact that there's less dream events than other entries, which were a huge highlight, so why does this lack? That alone was enough for a lot of people to write this game off, but honestly, I still had fun with it. The events that are here aren't all bad. Alpine skiing, figure skating, and bobsleigh are enjoyable, and I like the addition of the Legends Showdown mode, which at least gives the single player experience a little more to work with. Multiplayer is still a decent time, though not as chaotic as past entries, but I think the biggest issue with this game is that it just didn't do much to justify being on the Wii U. The lack of meaningful new features and removal of fan favorite elements made it feel like a step backward, but even with all that, I can't bring myself to hate it. It's definitely not the best Mario and Sonic game, but it's not as unplayable as some people make it out to be. Look, I know I said that some Wii U games tend to lack some content, but games like Mario 3D World, Wind Waker HD, and Splatoon don't and really hit the spot. And let me tell you that I grew up with some of these titles, so I really don't care a lot. Others I haven't played till I became a mid-teen. Plus, pretty much everyone would agree that this is better than Sochi 2014, but I'm pretty sure none of them would be this high on their list. The sports are nice, but for most people they're either a hit or miss. I mostly played boxing, BMX, and rugby sevens. Boxing has some controls that probably aren't what you'd expect, but I find them to be alright. I'd also see people who mash the button to get back up when getting knocked out, when you're really supposed to time the button press. BMX is fast-paced, feels satisfying when you get into the rhythm, and rewards precision and timing. Then there's Rugby Sevens, which might be one of the best team-based sports in the entire Mario and Sonic series. It's got a great mix of action and strategy, making it feel more involved in some of the simpler button-mashing events. The pacing keeps things exciting, and working as a team to pull off plays adds a layer of depth that other events don't really have. This is one entry in the Olympic series that I can really recommend, but like I said before, most people probably prefer the 3DS version over this. For being the first Mario and Sonic entry, it's honestly still one of the best. This was a big deal when it first came out. Two of gaming's biggest rivals are finally competing in the same game, and while it's just the Olympics, this game actually delivers a lot of fun. The events feel pretty engaging, and while motion controls aren't perfect, they're easy to pick up and play. Track and field events are a workout, but they're exciting, and the dream events add the classic Mario and Sonic charm. The character roster is solid, even if it's basic compared to later entries. The game also has a decent amount of content, with circuits, missions, and even trivia about the Olympics. It may not be as flashy as some of the later games, but it set the standard for what the series could be, and I still find it just as fun today. The first game set the foundation, then this one perfected it. This takes everything great about the 2008 game and improves on it. The motion controls feel smoother, and the events are way more engaging. Skiing, snowboarding, and speed skating all feel really satisfying, and the addition of Winter Olympics give it a fresh new vibe. But the biggest highlight is the dream events. These take the Olympic formula and throw in Mario and Sonic's signature craziness, making for some of the most fun in the series. Even better than 2008's dream events. The roster is still the same, but the game has a nice variety of modes to keep you coming back. It's an improvement in almost every way, which is why I find it better than the original. This is easily one of the best Mario and Sonic games. It brings back dream events, it has a solid selection of sports, and even includes a story mode, which is something these games have been lacking for a while. And the best part is the introduction of a retro 2D mode. This throws the characters into an 8-bit and 16-bit Olympic experience, which is such a cool idea. The event selection is pretty good, featuring classics like swimming, boxing, and gymnastics, alongside newer additions like karate, skateboarding, and surfing. Motion controls are still an option, but they aren't as responsive, especially for boxing. It's not as good as Wii Sports boxing.
relaxing. The multiplayer is as fun as ever, and the overall presentation makes this feel like a proper celebration of the Olympics rather than just another installment. Now, of course, it's not perfect. Some events don't feel as fleshed out as they could be, and while the story mode is fun, it can drag on at times. But compared to what came before, this game brings back so much of what made the earlier entries fun while adding just enough to feel fresh. It might not be everyone's favorite, but it's easily one of the best in the series. But we're never seeing Mario and Sonic going back to the Olympics, considering that they didn't even go to the Paris Olympics last year. Can you blame me? The GameCube titles just have a really nice feel to them compared to the newer console entries. This may have less characters, but it definitely has more fun and stands out for how creative it is. The courts are so much more dynamic than what we get in later games. We've got gimmicks like the Luigi's Mansion Court where ghosts mess with your shots, or Delfino Plaza with water hazards that actually change the way you play. Plus, the power shots are flashy and unique for each character, making the gameplay feel extra chaotic in the best way possible. Tennis Aces had special shots but not stage hazards, which is why Power Tennis is better. It controls well, the animations are lively, and it just oozes personality. Even if later games like Aces try to refine the formula, they don't quite capture the charm that Mario Power Tennis has. Just like Advance 1 with Mario Bros 2, but it's Super Mario World. It takes everything great about the SNES Classic and adds some improvements. Luigi finally gets his higher jump and slipperier controls, making him feel different from Mario. The added voice clips might not be for everyone, but they give the game more personality. It's one of the best ways to experience Super Mario World, but... Yep, I find the original better. Some of you were probably expecting this to be in my top 20 at least. I enjoyed this when I was young, but I never really got that far and don't really play it as much nowadays. But that doesn't mean I hate it. Super Mario World is still an amazing game that introduced so many iconic things into the Mario series like Yoshi, secret exits, and an overworld that actually changes. The level design offers tons of hidden paths and rewarding exploration. The controls are smooth, making platforming feel precise. And the K power-up is one of the most fun Mario power-ups ever. It lets you practically fly through levels if you master it. This may not be my absolute favorite 2D Mario, but it's still an incredible game that deserves all the praise it gets. It's Super Mario on shrooms, but the main gimmick is the Wonder Flower, but whatever. This is the freshest take on 2D Mario in years. After the new Soup series started to feel repetitive, this came out and completely changed things up. The new art style is more expressive, the animations are full of life, and the wonder effects make every level feel unpredictable. You never know what's gonna happen. Pipes start moving, enemies transform, and the whole stage can shift into something entirely new. The badges also add a layer of customization, letting you tweak movement or gain special abilities. The level design is fantastic, balancing challenge with creativity. The power-ups are great too. The elephant fruit is hilarious and surprisingly useful, and the bubble and drill power-ups add new ways to tackle enemies and explore. Everything about this game is amazing, but why is it not an S? It's mainly because of the boss fights. The final one's cool, but the ones before are all just Bowser Jr., and this thing barely counts as a boss fight. I would have put this game higher if there were more variety of bosses, but still, I could say that this is one of the best in the series. It proves that 2D Mario can still feel fresh, exciting, and full of surprises. Definitely better than Sports Superstars. This may have 4 sports instead of 5, but they play a lot better than the massacred old sports. There's basketball, volleyball, dodgeball, and hockey. Basketball is my most played and my favorite. Volleyball is nice, but doesn't have the same depth as others. Dodgeball is surprisingly competitive with a good mix of offense and defense, and hockey just brings that fast-paced intensity that's perfect for a Mario sports game. The character roster is a lot of fun, and the game gives each character their own unique moves that make each match feel fresh. The arenas also have great design, with cool interactive elements that keep the action interesting. There's a solid amount of customization with items and power-ups that keep the gameplay exciting, and the multiplayer mode really shines here, making it a great choice for parties. While others may find this mid or worse from what I've seen, I find it to be really fun and memorable, making Mario Sports Mix a really incredible Mario Sports game. What an amazing idea for Mario Kart. I didn't play this a lot growing up because I didn't understand much about how GameCube works when I was younger. This was also on the Wii, so you know. For being my first GameCube game, this plays really well. You race with 2 characters, which allows you to hold 2 different items at once and switch between them on the fly. You'll want to consider which characters to use because they all have their own special items. Like Mario and Luigi use fireballs that spread, Peach uses hearts, and Bowser uses a large Bowser shell. Petey Piranha and King Boo are probably the best choices, seeing as they can use all the special items. Just like Mario Kart 64, there's only 16 tracks, but they are all well designed and fun to race on. My favorite track is DK Mountain because of how fun it is being shot out of the cannon and driving down the mountain. I like how the drifting is, although it's slippery, but you can still get a boost while off track, which I really like. The battle mode is fun with there being 3 different types of battles, and one of the tracks allows you to play on an actual GameCube. There's even a land mode that allows you to race with up to 16 people, which is something no other Mario Kart does. Or maybe Mario Kart 8 Deluxe does it, but I don't know. This would cost a lot just to play this mode, seeing as you need multiple GameCubes. But I'd really like to try this out one day. This Mario Kart really has a lot going for it. Might not feel as intense as basketball from Sports Mix, but I find this just a little more fun. For this game, you play with a stylus while moving with the D-pad. You can use buttons, but you can't really do much with them. The unique control scheme takes some getting used to, but once you're in the groove, it's surprisingly satisfying. The fast-paced 3-on-3 basketball action is simple but fun, and the character abilities add a fun twist. I really enjoy the charm of Mario characters using special moves, and the courts are vibrant and well designed. The game's arcade-style mechanics are quick to pick up, but it still offers a decent challenge, and the variety of characters and court types gives it plenty of replay value. It's a fun, accessible basketball game with a Mario twist, and though it may not have the depth as other sports titles, it's an enjoyable experience overall. Some people say this hasn't aged well, but not for me because I grew up with this Mario Kart. The simple yet exciting tracks, the fun vehicles, and the addition of motion controls made it a unique experience at the time. While the Wii wheel is not perfect, it added a fun element to the gameplay. I only and always use this wheel while playing. The item balancing in Mario Kart Wii is spot on, keeping races unpredictable and chaotic, which is what Mario Kart is all about. The addition of bikes and the trick system really changed up the formula in a cool way, giving players new strategies and a fresh feel to the game. The track design is classic Mario Kart, but with enough variety to keep it interesting. This might not be the most refined entry in the series, but it holds a lot of nostalgia for me, and the fun factor still holds up. It may not be perfect, but it's definitely a game I keep coming back to. This is one of the best entries in the RPG series, and it's easy to see why it's this high. The humor and charm of the Mario & Luigi series are in full force here, but what really sets this game apart is its unique premise of Mario & Luigi being inside Bowser's body. The mechanics of controlling both Bowser and the Mario Bros provide a refreshing and engaging experience, giving you 2 perspectives to battle foes and solve puzzles. The battle system is as fun as ever, with timed button presses adding an extra layer of depth. The story is great, with Bowser being a surprisingly fun character to control as he tries to save his own body. The humor, the dynamic between Bowser and the Mario Bros, and the variety of gameplay mechanics makes this an unforgettable experience. It's definitely one of the standout titles on the DS and is a must-play for any RPG fan. This port is questionable because you're already able to play the original one on the 3DS. Again, this can be interchanged with the original, but I still prefer the new sprites over the original. The addition of Bowser Jr.'s journey doesn't really entertain me, seeing as it's just the same thing as Bowser's minions. So depending on your preferences, you'll either prefer the original or this remake. People either love this game for how cool it is, or hate it for reasons. The controls are hard to get used to for newcomers, and definitely has a steeper learning curve than most Mario titles. But once you master FLUDD's unique mechanics and Mario's acrobatics, the game feels incredibly fluid and satisfying to play. But while I don't actively fire this game up, it's still a great title to me. The tropical Isle Delfino is one of the most vibrant and immersive worlds in the entire series. It's packed with charm, atmosphere, and creativity. The game's sunny aesthetic, lively NPCs, and tropical soundtrack creates an unforgettable atmosphere that stands out even today. FLUDD's abilities add a fresh layer of movement, allowing for creative platforming and some of the most fun mobility in the series. The secret stages that take away FLUDD provide an extra challenge, testing pure platforming skill in a way that calls back to the classic Mario gameplay. However, Sunshine isn't without its flaws. Some missions feel unnecessarily frustrating. The blue coin system is tedious because it just rewards you with a little picture when you collect them all and beat the game, and a few physics quirks lead to unfair movements. Even with its issues, the game stands out with its unique mechanics. It may not reach the perfection of Galaxy or Odyssey, but it's an unforgettable adventure that I think people should try at least once.
This is easily the best handheld entry in the Mario and Sonic series, and honestly, it's superior to the Wii version. While the Wii version had nice presentation and motion controls, the DS version just feels way more engaging. Instead of just competing in events one by one, this game has an actual adventure mode with a storyline. Mario and Sonic team up to stop Bowser and Dr. Eggman from freezing the world. It adds more depth than the Wii version had. The events might not feel more natural with just touchscreen controls. Dream events are still here, which add that extra Mario and Sonic charm, and the game feels more balanced overall. While the Wii version is still a good time, the DS version is just superior for the story alone. The game that started the Paper Mario series, and to this day, one of the best. This might not have the complexity of the Thousand-Year Door, but it still holds up extremely well. The art style is simple yet charming, and the battle system introduced a more accessible yet strategic take on the turn-based combat. The partners are great, each with their own unique abilities, and the world is just fun to explore. It also has the classic Mario charm mixed with a surprising amount of story depth. Bowser actually feels like a real threat in this one, and Peach segments give her more personality than in most Mario games. While later entries would change up the formula, this game still delivers a solid RPG experience. One of the most unique Mario games ever made, and the blueprint for the future RPGs in the series. This takes the traditional turn-based formula and adds timed hits, making combat more interactive. The story is simple but fun, introducing characters like Geno and Malo who became fan favorites, despite never appearing in games again outside of a few references here and there. The world is full of personality, the writing is surprisingly funny, and the music is some of the best on the SNES. It's a little easier than most RPGs, but that's a part of what makes it so accessible. Even with later games refining the formula, this one has its own special charm that makes it worth revisiting. This remake takes everything great about the original and makes it even better. The updated visuals stay true to the original's art style while adding smoother animations and more expressive character models. The music has been beautifully rearranged, and you can even switch back to the SNES soundtrack if you want that classic feel. The biggest improvement is the gameplay. Timed hits now build up triple attacks. Bosses have new mechanics that make fights more engaging. Plus, there's an optional boss gauntlet for those who want an extra challenge. It's still the same Super Mario RPG at its core, just polished to a shine. Brilliant. Just brilliant. This refines everything that made the original so great, it made it a much better experience. The tactical combat system is the star of the show. It takes everything that worked from the first game and adds real-time movement, which is so much better than being locked to a grid. This allows for a more fluid and dynamic approach in each battle. The depth of strategy is truly impressive, giving players a wide range of choices to tailor their playstyle. The expanded roster of characters is fantastic. Mario, the Rabbids, and new additions like Edge bring unique abilities that offer endless possibilities for team composition. Each character feels distinctive, and the synergies between them make for some incredibly satisfying combos. And what's funny is that the Rabbids actually talk now. It's mostly just the first few words of their sentences, but Beebo and Genie have full-on voice acting. But here's something I always question. Sonic games have full-on voice acting, so why don't Mario games do besides those old PC games? Visually, Sparks of Hope is a treat. The game is vibrant and full of charm, with gorgeous environments that take you through diverse worlds. Every new area feels fresh and exciting to explore. The humor remains as fun and quirky as ever, with the Rabbids adding their signature chaos to the Mario universe. The addition of sparks that grant you new abilities adds a rich layer of strategy to the gameplay. They can drastically change the flow of battles, and the variety of sparks lets you experiment with different tactics for each challenge. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope is a phenomenal sequel, and it improves upon every aspect of its predecessor. From the tactical depth to the vibrant world building and unforgettable characters, it delivers an engaging, fun, and strategic experience. In my opinion, this is easily one of the best Mario RPGs and the best Rabbids game. This is where the Paper Mario series peaked for many people. The Thousand-Year Door took everything great about the original Paper Mario and refined it. The combat is still turn-based, but adds stylish action commands, partner abilities, and audience interactions that keep battles exciting. The writing is some of the best in the entire Mario franchise, filled with humor, charm, and even some darker moments. The world design is incredible, with a variety of locations that all feel unique, from the creepy Twilight Town to the wrestling arena in Glitzville. Every chapter tells its own fun little story while tying into the larger mystery of the Thousand-Year Door. The only issue is that there's too much backtracking, but everything else makes this the best and most beloved Mario RPG ever. It's the same game but not as polished. The updated visuals look fantastic, keeping the charm of the original while making everything pop out with more detail. The soundtrack has also been beautifully remastered, enhancing the experience, but the only gripe with this remake is that it runs at 30 FPS. You'll find this an issue depending on how much you care about frame rates. The only reason I find this better is because it's easier to save without losing your progress by just turning off the system, but you still need to save if you're changing the game, so yeah. This can be interchanged with the original, but I definitely see most people preferring the original. I haven't played this or Mario Sunshine until 3D All-Stars came out. This is the first and still is one of the best 3D Mario games out there. It's aged surprisingly well from the past 29 years, and the physics are great for the console it's on, although it runs at like 20 FPS, but no one cares. The level design is amazing, with every course offering creative platforming challenges that encourage exploration. Controls are tight and feel satisfying once you master them, making movement fun even outside of objectives. There are some things that don't hold up as well, like swimming feeling kinda janky, or the camera loving to fight against you, but that doesn't change the fact that this game set the gold standard for 3D platformers. Even today, speedrunners and casual players like Nathaniel Bandy and Simple Flips keep coming back to it. It's a true classic that is a must-try. When I first saw the trailer for this game, I wanted it so badly. And after waiting a long 11 months, I got to play it on Christmas. This is just amazing. You're able to capture almost 50 enemies and objects. You could become a frog, Goomba, Bullabill, tree, meat, taxi, and even a goddamn T-Rex. All these worlds are a blast to explore and have a ton of power moves to collect. Mario's even got some cool tricks you can do with Cappy, like spinning him around or bouncing off him. There's even shops where you can buy clothes for Mario to wear. Lives are also removed, which is actually kind of good because they don't really add any meaning to games anymore. But this game could be a nightmare for completionists because there's like almost 900 power moons, and some of these take longer to collect than you'd expect. You also need over 100,000 coins for other things as well. But besides that, this is a fantastic open world adventure that you need to play if you haven't already. This is what you get when Mario Odyssey and 3D World make a baby. It's open world, compact and densely packed like Odyssey, and uses the movement and power-ups of 3D World. That combo really just works. The world design is seamless. No loading screens, no level select, just one big connected map filled with platforming challenges, cat shines, and tons of creative little tasks. The big standout is how experimental it feels. Bowser randomly showing up and wreaking havoc adds a chaotic layer of challenge. And it's cool how you can either dodge his fire or use it to access new areas. It really keeps you on your toes. This could have been longer, but it was a fresh take on the 3D Mario formula, and I hope Nintendo keeps exploring this style in the future. Just like Advance 1 and 2, but it's Mario Bros. 3. There's not much that needs to be said besides the extra levels from the e-reader. These can be interchanged, but the original is superior to me. So next up, people might be pissed at me for putting this above Super Mario World. I did play that game more growing up, but this game just feels better to me. The physics feel spot on, and there's just something about the pacing that hits perfectly. Each level is short but memorable, and it feels like every world introduces new ideas without overstaying its welcome. The overworld map was a huge deal at the time, and honestly, it still holds up, but maybe not compared to Mario Worlds. The different suits like the Tanuki, Frog, and Hammer add so much variety, and even now, they feel satisfying to use. The aesthetic is super charming too, especially with how each world has its own theme and personality. It's one of those games where you can boot it up at any time, play a few levels, and still have a blast. It's a tight experience that you need to try if you haven't.
This is what I played instead of Superstar Baseball when I was young. The game's got new stadiums that are all cool. I didn't have a favorite, but they're all fun to play on. There's a new option to play these stadiums at nighttime, which adds a nice touch to the gameplay. Players can either play with a nunchuck for regular controls, or without a nunchuck for easy controls. If you're playing without a nunchuck, you automatically lock on the ball when you're batting or running for it in the outfield. I find this OP because you're more likely to succeed than mess up this way. But then there's the side content. There's a story mode to tackle if you're interested and want to unlock more stuff. These stadiums even have different mini games. Each of them are pretty unique, and I'd say they're worth checking out. There's a mode called Toy Field, which is pretty fun. It's a coin collector to see who can get the most coins. This is also worth checking out. These Mario sports games are what I prefer over the EA sports games.
my favorite title in the entire Olympic series. London 2012 just gets everything right. The events are fun and balanced, the motion controls are super responsive compared to the others, and the presentation is just peak Wii era energy. The Dream events are some of the best we've gotten, especially Dream Fencing and Dream Equestrian. The roster is stacked, the visuals still look great for a Wii game, and the overall variety makes it so replayable. Even the menus and music have this vibe that's just fun. And of course there's... Everything feels polished and confident here. It's that perfect sweet spot before the Wii U era hit where some of the series started feeling a little more stripped down. This one's always a go-to when I'm replaying the Olympic games. It should definitely be yours too.
My god, they grabbed Super Mario Party and made it completely f***ing better. The huge character roster with Pauline and Ninji, the amazing selection of boards, and the real online that everyone wanted. This game just has everything we've asked for, done and fixed. It even brought back old boards that Superstars didn't, which are Mario's Rainbow Castle and Western Land from Mario Party 1 and 2. There's also an awesome selection of minigames. 112 is probably the most out of every Mario Party game out there. Even a lot of the items return, like the Dueling Glove, Bowser Phone, and Chomp Call. There's even a bunch of new items like the Swap Mirror, Cellular Shopping, and the Super Dueling Glove. There's pro rules that add to the boards that really change things up. There's even new modes like Toad's Item Factory, Rhythm Kitchen that's like Soundstage from Super Mario Party, Koopathon which is like Coinathon from Mario Party Star Rush, and Bowser Kaboom Squad where you need to team up with other players to take down Bowser. The boards are kinda slow paced like Mario Party 4, but this game is fantastic otherwise. There's even the new Jamboree TV coming out next month for the Switch 2, but I really don't see myself getting that camera considering how stuff like the Kinect sensor turned out. This is the real Mario Party on the go. Whatever these were. Mario Party DS gives you exactly what you want. An actual Mario Party on a handheld. You can even link up with other people for better multiplayer. The boards may have less spaces than other Mario Parties, but who cares because they actually work great. My favorite board was always DK's Stone Statue, and it was very similar to DK's Treetop Temple from Mario Party 8. And what's funny is that all the boards and minigames are based around you being tiny. In fact, story mode is about Bowser shrinking everyone and they need to get back to their normal size. The items may not be as interesting, but it doesn't matter because Mario Party DS is fantastic.
This game still brings back memories. I played this when I got it for Christmas back in 2013 and I had one hell of a time. It felt like the perfect evolution of 3D Land, but on a much grander scale. The level design is creative, fast-paced, and constantly throwing new ideas at you. The multiplayer is chaotic but super fun, and the fact that every character has a unique ability adds so much replay value. The power-ups are also some of the best in the series, especially the cat suit. Yeah, it might seem goofy at first, but it's such a fun mechanic that makes platforming and exploration way more dynamic. The music, the visuals, the vibe, it all just clicks. Even now, it still holds up as one of the best multiplayer Mario experiences out there.
Best of the GameCube bunch. The game's biggest feature is the day and nighttime system. This not only changes how the board looks, but also how the board plays. Like for Fair Square, the price of the star is 20 in the day, but changes to 5, 10, 30, or 40 at night. And for Clockwork Castle, you move regularly in the day, but the direction is switched at night. There's also 3 solo boards to try out if you're curious. Also, this was the first Mario Party to include mic minigames. I never tried them because I don't have a GameCube mic. I know they're cheap, but I don't see much reason to buy one. The regular minigames are great as usual, and the orbs are still used. If you're playing any of the GameCube parties, make it this one. Say what you want, but Mario Party 8 is like my child. I've been grinding on this game since middle school and it's still my favorite Mario Party ever. The minigames are really memorable and use a mix of both regular and motion controls, which is really neat. For a lot of people, this might not be the best Mario Party to come back to because the boards are just okay. Besides one in particular, Koopa's Tycoon Town. One of the best, if not the best board in all of Mario Party. This board is unlike any other board in the series. Instead of buying stars, you buy hotels. The more money you invest into a hotel, the more stars you gain. And you want to plan out how much you can invest because your hotel can easily be bought out by other players. The items are also candies that do some pretty great stuff. The side content is okay, but the real deal is in party mode.
Easily one of the most content-packed entries in the Mario Kart series. It takes everything that the original Wii U version had, throws in all the DLC, balances the gameplay, and adds even more features that just elevate the whole thing. The fact that every character and track is unlocked from the start makes it super accessible, especially for multiplayer sessions where you don't want to waste time unlocking stuff. Well, you still need to unlock some of the carts and parts, but it don't matter that much. The controls feel tight, the drifting is smooth, and the visuals still stunning to this day. Then there's the battle mode. The Wii U version kinda flopped with that, but Deluxe fixed it entirely with proper arenas and classic battle types like Balloon Battle and Renegade Roundup. And let's not forget the DLC Booster Course Pass that added even more tracks across the franchise's history. This plays like a dream whether you're on the couch or online. It's the definitive Mario Kart experience. There's people that consider this to be the best Mario Kart in the series. It may not have the biggest roster or the most tracks, but they say it has the most fun. Some people agree, others disagree. I agree because of the nostalgia in me. This and Wii were my most played Mario Karts when I was young. It for some reason took me till last year to realize that Rob was a playable character, who was a ridiculous yet hilarious choice for the roster. This was when you had to control your drift skid boost. It was also in Super Circuit, but it's more shittier in that game. There are people who complain about the snaking in this game, but it takes a lot of skill and not many people do it. I've attempted it many times, but I could barely doing it and it hurts my thumb. The tracks are all fun to race on, but the best two are Waluigi Pinball and Tick-Tock Clock. They were even added to Mario Kart 8. This Mario Kart was also the first to attempt full-on remakes of old tracks. The local play is great if you want to play with other people, although if everyone doesn't have their own copy of the game, they have to roll with Shy Guy. And it's the same way for Mario Kart 7. This game lets you create your own emblem for your carts, and there's even a mission mode that has never returned in any other Mario Kart. I remember playing this a lot back when I was younger. This game has to at least be in your top 3 Mario Karts. Forgive me, my child. But I felt like I had to. I just found this to be a more fun experience. But hey, it might just be temporary. This was completely unexpected. An open-world Mario Kart game, and it works surprisingly well. The new mode Free Roam gives us an experience of driving through the whole world of this game while collecting stickers, doing P-switch challenges, and even collecting costumes from these fast food stops, which is something very new and unique. You're given a starting roster of 32 characters, including 103 costumes that you collect for them, and a bunch of random NPC characters that are hilarious to see in this game because a lot of them don't even have arms or legs. This is the same thing for sports titles like Goomba playing baseball. The karts are a big change because you can't customize them anymore and they don't have gliders. They now transform into planes, which I actually find a little better since the glider kind of blocks some of your view. Also, look how they massacred our boy. I personally never got to play as Rob back in Mario Kart DS, but I definitely know that this was a huge disappointment for the fans. Another disappointment was the fact that none of the crossover characters made an entrance at all. I was hoping to at least see some new characters besides regular Mario characters. The tracks are all nice, but there's only 30. Half are new, and half are reused and had some changes. Choco Mountain, on the other hand, had some completely different changes. It looks nothing like the original, and they added charging chucks. Grand Prix added a cool new feature where you literally drive to the next track, and the Knockout Tour is by far one of the best modes in all of Mario Kart. You drive through multiple tracks and have to take as much of a lead as you can, because if you're too far behind, you're eliminated. This game better have some updates in the future, because this game is just amazing and needs some more replay value. Everyone has had to play this at least once, whether it was on the Wii back in the day or through 3D All-Stars on the Switch. Super Mario Galaxy is one of those games that leaves a lasting impression. From the moment you hear that orchestral opening theme, you know you're about to experience something special. It's not just another Mario platformer, it's Mario going to full-on space opera. The whole gravity-defying mechanic is still genius to this day. Running around tiny planets, launching from one world to another, and using gravity as a gameplay tool, it constantly feels fresh. Every galaxy introduces new ideas, and most of them show up once or twice. Nintendo just flexes their creativity and moves on, never letting the game feel repetitive. The controls are surprisingly tight, even with the motion input. Collecting star bits, using the spin attack, and launching between planetoids feels satisfying every time. And let's not forget Rosalina's storybook. It really adds an emotional depth into the game. This game is a work of art. Even now, it still looks gorgeous, plays like a dream, and has one of the best soundtracks in gaming. Super Mario Galaxy always deserves its spotlight, no doubt about it. I weirdly did not play this game until 2021. The first game's a masterpiece, but this masterpiece really adds more to it. It takes everything that the original did right, and somehow feels even more fun. What makes this sequel better to me is just how much more there is to explore. The level design is more creative, Yoshi adds new mechanics that don't feel tacked on, and the difficulty spikes in a really satisfying way. This is where Galaxy truly embraces being a game. You've got inventive power-ups, slicker pacing, and some wild late game stars that demand real skill. The world map is also a better choice than the hub from the first game. I love Rosalina's observatory inventory, but being able to quickly bounce between galaxies makes things move a lot faster. You're constantly unlocking new levels, getting excited about what's next, and rarely hitting a lull. It still has the beautiful soundtrack, jaw-dropping visuals, and the same brilliant space-bending gravity gameplay. Honestly, Galaxy 2 is a rare sequel that outshines its already legendary predecessor. It absolutely earns its place above the original. I've been wanting a third sequel for a few years now, but it's probably gonna be like another 30 years from now. Nintendo definitely ran out of Galaxy ideas after these two games.
You're definitely surprised to see this so high on the list. This is one of my favorite sports games in the Mario series because of how more intense it is compared to FIFA. While FIFA is casual soccer, Mario Strikers is a lot more insane with the mechanics this game offers. Tackling your opponent, fast passing, smooth evading, electric rails, power-ups, Bowser, Sun and Death, you even have motherfucking super shots. You play all of this on dope-ass soccer fields. You can even play this team called Bowser's Super Team, which are these crazy-looking robots. This is definitely one of the best Mario sports games in the entire series. So if you haven't played this, you need to try it. But let me warn you, this game is hard to get good at, seeing as you might get your ass kicked by the CPUs most of the time. So yeah, go for it.
This game is more insane than the first one, like way more. The original Mario Strikers was already wild, but Strikers Charge cranks everything up to the extreme. I doubt anyone will agree with me putting this as number 1 on my list, but I got so good at this game that I was beyond satisfied. The characters are angrier, the hits are harder, the stages are more chaotic, and the power-ups are absolutely brutal. This isn't just intense soccer, it's war on the field. Every character has their own unique special shot now, which gives the game so much more personality and strategy with the different techniques the characters have. You're not just picking characters based on looks, you're actually building a team around strengths, weaknesses, and super moves. Plus, the sidekicks aren't just filler anymore, they matter. The gameplay is fast, satisfying, and rough in the best way. Like, if you're not getting slammed into an electric fence every 10 seconds, are you even playing Strikers Charged? Also, this game has such a vibe. The gritty, over-the-top art style, perfect. The music, absolute bangers. The intensity of each match, it's like the final round of a fighting game. I wish we had more sports games with this much style and edge. Strikers Charged is pure chaos and is definitely a must-play.
Jesus Christ, man, this was one hell of a list. But I think it was all worth it in the end. So with that all...
Now wait a minute, you're forgetting one game.
What? Oh, come on!
Come on, you said you'd had it.
Alright. I can't believe I actually played this. This is a random NBA game on the GameCube featuring Mario, Luigi, and Peach as playable characters, which is one of the wildest crossovers I've ever seen Nintendo agree to. I literally thought this was a mod when I first saw it. The gameplay is fast, stylish, and full of attitude. Although I don't know what the hell I'm doing because I don't play NBA games. The visuals have that gritty street ball aesthetic, and the soundtrack, absolute heat. The All-Stars inclusion is a fun bonus, but even without it, this game holds up on its own. Whether you're just messing around or going full tryhard, this game really delivers. I don't know where I'd put this exactly on my list, but it's probably somewhere between A and B.
NBA Street V3 for the GameCube is the only game without mods, where Mario can dunk on LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, while Peach shoots threes and Luigi flies from the three-point line to the net with or without a ball. This game is one of the greatest moments for laughs and jokes. However, it does have other interesting aspects about it. The game has a multiplayer story mode, a create your own character, and a dunk contest. Dunk contest is the most simple and straightforward challenge. Pick any character from the whole roster, which includes Mario, Luigi, and Peach. It's a simple game mode where you just do the input for dunking and use the arrow stick to make the trick goes in certain directions. The character creation is also pretty fun and very customizable, which leads us into the story mode. The story mode is just another way to unlock new courts that you can customize or find new things to customize your character with, like hair color, eye color, and even though much. The challenges range from easy, like scoring 21 points, to get 21 points with only ones and twos on being unable to do tricks. Speaking of tricks in this game, the game has a unique trick menu that builds up every time you put the styles on the opponent and makes it in. This can also be used as an ultimate dunk where your team dunks together and takes away a point from the opponent while also giving you 2, 3, or 4 points depending on how well you do with the dunk. Lastly, we have the free mode / multiplayer. This is where Mario Kart technically makes this a Mario game. Technically, Mario, Luigi, and Peach. Before you remember, no, there were no other playable Mario or Nintendo characters. It is just those three. It's here that this makes the game shine the brightest, and it brings in the best of my friends and others as well. As watching Luigi go flying and dunking against Shaggy's experience on its own, which doesn't help by the three being some of the best stars in the game.
However, the game is a bit janky and the defense is pretty challenging to pull off consistently due to the wonky nature of the characters and the mechanics on the game. From clipping through things, flying away from far points, and any CPUs trying to do an alley-oop when you're just trying to shoot in the basket. But overall, it's a fun game with a good amount of replayability and a good, interesting, solid gameplay.
So yeah, solid beta.
As I said, this was one hell of a list. I already know I'm gonna have a ton of agreements and disagreements, so let me know what they are in the comments. And with that, I'll catch you all later. Happy 40th anniversary, Mario. I know, it's too early for that. Peace.